Welcome back to Men and the City. Coming to you today again from Medellin, Colombia. So thought we could do a little bit of a walk and talk today about a book that I've wanted to talk about for some time called The 48 Laws of Power by Greene. I'm sure most of you have heard of it. So today's video is going to be called A Neo-Masculine Ethos Against the 48 Laws of Power. The first time I was exposed to this book was in 2009. I was leaving the Navy, and when you leave the service, there's a transition program, and as part of that, I met with sort of a career advisor or coach, something like that. And I remember vividly, I walked in to this man's office, and I was wearing a suit. I was formally attired because I took it seriously. And as soon as I walked in, this guy who was noticeably insecure or somewhat taken aback by my dress, apparently, he immediately went into the 48 Laws of Power. And for those of you who have read the book, you'll know that the first law that Greene talks about is never outshine the master. Well, in that moment, it was pretty clear that for whatever reason, I rubbed this guy the wrong way. So he recommended the book, and I bought it, and I took a look at it. I did not read the entire book, and frankly speaking, most of it was indigestible to me, and I found it rather sinister. So I didn't particularly care for it. But I did read it, and I did take diligent notes, as I'm wont to do. And so in this video, I wanted to talk about what's wrong with it. Now, fast forward to present day. Over the last several years in particular, but over the last 10, I have had all kinds of meetings with people that were CEOs of companies, people that have been worth lots of money, people that are in high positions of authority in government. Maybe they were representatives or what have you. And I've met with influencers, entrepreneurs, YouTubers, people in my sphere, you might say. And what I have noticed is that book is highly practiced. And in my assessment, that book is highly practiced in part because the ethos of our culture today is so completely bankrupt. In other words, people on a routine basis are trying to self-promote and get ahead at the expense of others all the time, which is sort of the cornerstone of 48 Laws of Power. So what I wanted to do today is emphasize a few things that conflict with that book in my experience. So I want to talk about a meeting I had recently. It was a gathering of sorts with a group of people, most of whom considered themselves life coaches, or they were YouTubers or what have you. But at this meeting, there were probably 10 people, and I've had many encounters like this before. And at these encounters, what is crystal clear to me, at least, is the profound gap between myself and most of the folks that I'm interacting with. Now, this doesn't happen all the time because there are plenty of quality, substantive people out there. But for the most part, what I encounter are lots of people that have read the 48 Laws of Power very diligently. And so they've extracted rules like never outshine the master, or rules like conceal your intentions, use other people, don't trust your friends, keep your enemies close, this sort of thing. And instead of doing the work, instead of demonstrating competency through diligence, hard work, and cultivating a network based on mutual interest and respect, they just use people to get ahead. And I do think, in large measure, certainly over the last 20 or 30 years, that ethos, that culture, has been extremely effective. But I think that is about to change. And it's about to change because this kind of behavior is a lot of feminine energy. And that is to say, it's very nakedly materialistic, very solipsistic, all about you and not about the broader community, all about making money and not about improving the lives of your customers or people around you, because you're just trying to maximize what's best for you. So the alternative to that, which is what I talk about, a sort of neo-masculine ethos, is, I think, diametrically opposed to the 48 laws of power. You should, as a man, as a neo-masculine man, you should tell the truth. You should stand on principle. You should make it very clear what your intentions are. You should be upfront, and you should surround yourself with people that do likewise, and you should not treat people as a means to an end. And if you do that, there may be material gains for you in the short term. I'm not going to dispute that. But is that what life is really about? Number one. And number two, if you do that, you're making money, sure, but you're doing so at the expense of long-term relationships, family, community, and maybe even your nation. And so that, in the years to come, as we reorganize our value systems, as we reprioritize, and we begin to deprioritize materialism, that mentality is going to become increasingly self-destructive. So not all that's written in the book is horrible or poisonous, but certainly most of it is. And so as a man, you should, in many ways, I think, practice the opposite of what that book tells you to do. And I think the long-term results for you will be vastly improved on that basis. So again, I want to emphasize that 48 Laws of Power is something you should read. It's a book that you should understand, but you should see through its very superficial and materialistic and, I think, limiting principles for what they are. Because at the end of the day, they are going to boomerang. If you use other people, you are in fact using yourself. If you surround yourself with people that are insecure and are constantly cloaking their true intentions to promote themselves, then that's going to eat away. It's going to subvert what your overall goal happens to be. So the message of this video is you want to learn everything. You don't want to disregard literature or philosophies that you find disagreeable. But you need to understand what they really are, what they really represent. And the 48 Laws of Power is a poisonous, Machiavellian, rather feminine approach to life. It is not the way that we as neo-masculine men should behave, especially as we shift into a new ethos, a new epoch that I call the age of scarcity, in which men are going to have to take the reins of society once again, in which we're going to be expected to deliver results and not behave in some kind of Machiavellian, poisonous fashion, which is more or less what the 48 Laws of Power articulates. So, hope this was beneficial to you. Stay tuned for more, and we'll talk soon.